Oh,
the actual.
hey,
y'all,
how y'all doing? Oh,
on?
girl, it's been a long.
Kittens.
It's been a day kind of day. So,
you know what? Yeah, let's just listen. This show today is just that day. That's where we are. It's that day. It's that day. It's that evening.
It's a heavy pour today,
and we are those. So it was a heavy pour. It was a heavy mix. It was I'm gonna clown my barista for just a second, or share with you all the comedy that I experienced while my barista was making this drink. So, but we're gonna hit this sip. It kind of gives me like an apple cider type of
It does.
She's actually kind of festive. There's a roll bubble on the top type of thing.
That's because the cranberry juice is expired.
Y'all hear this? He's trying to kill me with some expired sour cranberry juice.
That's the little razzle dazzle, the extra little oomph that you feel. That's botulism working its way into your system.
I cannot.
I did check the date. The date on it did look a little cloudy, 2022.
It looked a little dark and cloudy.
No, but it's good.
But okay, all right, okay. So today's December 15th, 2021, 8:02 p.m.
So it's 99 pineapples plus pineapple vodka,
triple sec,
sweet and sour, orange juice, and cranberry juice. And lots of ice.
I don't even know if it's cranberry juice anymore. It's more like probably like
cranberry wine
or like prune juice, maybe.
No,
that's kind of the color.
I keep my cranberry juice in the refrigerator, and she was well within the limits. So, how was your week?
That's how we.
Because I got a lot. Yeah, because I got a lot.
Okay, so my week was good, but so far it's been good. It's kind of a little bit of relief because this is my last week of being at this job. I start the new gig next week, so I'm kind of mad that I don't really have any time off. But then again, I'm kind of like, you know what? It's a short period of time anyway because we're getting ready to go into Christmas holidays, so it's a close.
So is the school closed?
They're going to be closed. So
but you get paid?
Oh yeah, bitch.
Oh, okay. So you go to work like 2 or 3 days, and then you off the whole next week.
I don't go back to the 4th.
Oh, perfect.
But you don't go back to the 4th.
So how many days next week you got to work?
So I work I can't remember if they're closed on the 23rd or the 23rd they're closing. So it's either so it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
But you're off the whole next week.
Yeah, I'm off all next week.
Nice.
So I'm good with that. So I'm gonna go with that. And plus, I gotta do some orientation. And I see the thing is when you start talking about these folks at this particular institution, I know that they are this week. People just taking off for the whole week because I know I was, you know what I mean, and like I was gonna plan stuff out and not be available, and not do no work, and like I ain't feel like doing all that stuff.
Right.
But
I'm looking for the sound is good. Keep talking.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So, but it has been a loop-de-loop. It's been a one week because I'm still dealing with the residuals of this friggin' car and the break-in and the fucking rental car and the insurance and the fucking replacement for my iPad, and I had to send the shit back. And
why?
Because now when I went, so the insurance company through Sprint / T-Mobile is a company called Assurant, and which is I'm not saying most, but many electronic or phone companies have their electronic devices insured through. And it's like the deductible was like $95, and then they'll either replace it with a new or refurbished, and they probably should say refurbished or new in that order because that's what the fuck they do.
Right.
And so once I got it, I had to contact T-Mobile to say, hey, can you hook my iPad back up to my plan? I have the SIM card in it, or do you want me to do it eSIM? And they were like, we'll do it. Give me the IMEI number. And that number was not matching what they had on their end. So then they had to contact Assurant. And then they realized that Assurant, in however they packaged it or itemized it or numbered it, that IMEI number didn't match up with that iPad. So then they wanted me to send the iPad back to Assurant so that Assurant could then replace it and send it back to me. And so I explained to the girl, I said, listen, I get that and I understand that things happen, but here's my issue. My issue is I'm now going to be without my iPad again. And so I have to send this back to you all so that they can get it. And then they're going to turn around and send something back, because they literally said to me, we're not sending out another iPad until we know that this is in transit. Well, you gave me a label that I scanned and took to FedEx and printed out. And mind you, when I sent this box back on FedEx and I went to go buy a box, because I was like, what's the special packing conditions or whatever? They were like, no, just put it in the box and send it to it. Okay, great. I got the iPad box or whatever. That was $12.99. I want my motherfucking $12.99. Like, I know that sounds petty, but I want my $12.99 for this motherfucking box. I am going to get my $12.99 out of this transaction somehow, some way. That's what I'm going to say. But anyway, so until they can see that it's on its way back. But I literally took it to the FedEx store on Saturday. Well, today is Wednesday. I haven't gotten an email. I haven't gotten a phone call. I've gotten nothing from either T-Mobile or from Assurance. So I'm a little pissed off because now we're coming. Well, we're already in the month of December and we're during Christmas time and packages and shit are coming.
Right.
So it's like, it's going to either be delayed or, it's going to face the possibility of not making it there because, folks are just doing all types of shit. Because, we just had some guy that got, one more FedEx person that was taken out of commission because he was throwing packages around and shit.
What happened?
There was this gentleman in PG County that was delivering a FedEx package. And apparently he said in his own words, he misjudged where he put it down on the steps and it wasn't firmly on the steps or the patio. And then it rolled down the box because you could see it in the Ring camera. And he looked back afterwards and saw it. And then the person who looked at their camera afterwards, they saw it and they complained and they contacted FedEx. And so they reviewed the tapes. They were like, that's not how we treat our packages or our customers. And they let him go because he was only 5 months into working for FedEx. And he's supposed to have had, I think the probationary period was like 6 months or whatever. So they let him go. And so I get that. But their people are becoming more.
My thing though was the package damaged.
The owner of the package said that there was a game, some sort of Wii or some sort of gaming device and some baby dolls or whatever. So it's electronic equipment. It probably could have been damaged. Could have. I'm just saying could have been
because
possibly.
there's all kinds of packaging and styrofoam.
You and I both know
and
that.
all of that.
But again,
this was PG County.
Listen, this PG
County. The girls was trying to pull a stunt,
and they very well may have been.
They was because.
But hold on,
because that I'm sorry.
Hold on,
sorry.
So
I'm in a mood.
I get it. We're gonna let you talk in just 1 second, please. But so then I'm just worried about this package being lost in transit in translation with all the other stuff that's going on. Hell, I have my own stuff that I'm ordering for Christmas, for people that I know it's probably not going to get here when I wanted to. Especially I'm trying to leave.
My Tiffany watch?
Yes, it is coming through FedEx. Yes.
Oh, great. When will it arrive?
I can check the packaging and see when it's going to arrive, and hopefully your Ring camera is on when it comes and it doesn't fall down the steps.
Oh no!
If it makes it here.
Oh no! I hope that doesn't happen.
I hope that doesn't happen because they say a lot of theft happens in the warehouse too. But
that's okay. I'm sure you got insurance on it, so either way, I will get my Tiffany watch. So actually, if it's not too late, I'd love the Movado Sapphire. Thank you, appreciate it. I do. I appreciate you.
So again, that has still been my week. That's been what I'm facing. And I'm also being a little bit selfish at this point because I have all the fucking work I'm supposed to be doing for this program. And my colleague, I surely told him, I was like, I'm not going to leave you in a rut. I'm going to try to get it done, much done as I possibly can. I really don't want to do this stuff. I really don't. So I'm going to try to get
Is he a colleague or is he a friend?
No, he's a friend. He's a friend. He's my work colleague, but he's a friend at this point.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, I just don't
like, girl, this is as much as I can get done. This is about 75% of it. So,
and that's what I resolved myself to say is because I was like, I'm going to try to get as much as I can, but I'm not bending over backwards to get this shit done.
right.
I'm not spending no extra time because, in fact, my access to the stuff that I'm supposed to have access to is probably going to end at Friday at 5:00 anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and that's when you walk out. So
yeah. So
shabam.
But it's been, and I was also supposed to hook up with my little brother, and I need to apologize to my little brother because I was just and I was in a mood and I was pissed off because I was supposed to go have dinner with him. But I owe him dinner and I have to. I'll get to that. So yeah, but that's been my week so far. But your week, let's start with your day because and I'm saying this with as much love and the comedy as I possibly can. But this bitch just poured this drink, and when I'm telling you, she was like, "Oh, I had a week." And so I was just, I was on this, then I had to do this, and then I had to do this, and it was
y'all know how
there, and it was
y'all know how Epic be exaggerating,
pouring these drinks.
Y'all know how he be exaggerating. It was not
pouring
even
these
like
drinks.
that. It was a nice 12-second pour.
We'll just let you go ahead and we'll just see how fucked up I am at the end of this. How about that?
You shouldn't be. It's not really very strong.
Okay.
It isn't.
Okay.
So today it wasn't a bad day, but I had to go up to New York City to look at, the location there. So I got up at 5:00 this morning and Lola's here early and shit.
Hey, come on, Lolo.
And hey, Eccentric and Atlas, our apologies. We should have acknowledged you when you walked in. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for being here.
So yes, I got up at the butt crack of dawn and got on the train, and it was cool. I got a little nappy poo, just a tiny bit of a nappy poo.
Okay.
And then, the shits and giggles started at 8:30.
I'm the only person that can't really sleep on a train like that. Like, I mean, I
could not because first of all, she be rocking and a rolling, and them tracks ain't as smooth as you would like. You be getting over bumps.
It wasn't the Acela?
No, because I can't ride the Acela.
Oh.
Because I'm a contractor, not because I don't want to ride the Acela.
All right.
So, but they still ride the same tracks. They just go a little faster now.
All right. I figured the Acela would be smoother, but I mean, you're right.
It can be smoother because they have better shocks and stuff because of the higher speeds. But first of all, the Acela, when I got there at 10:03. My boss got there at 9:50. So the difference is that her train didn't leave until like 7:30. So her train left almost an hour later than mine did. So that's good.
Okay.
But anyway, so I got there, the shits and giggles started because, we had a huddle at 8:30, and I had something else to do at 9. Then there had to be some other bullshit, when I got there, and then some other bullshit. And I was like, I'm about to cancel all this other bullshit. So then I canceled that. Did the walkthrough, she had told me to wear some comfortable shoes, which is, I knew I needed to, but I mean, we were walking all over the train station, so it's just a lot of walking. I did get a free lunch out of it. We get back on the train. I'm sitting on this hard ass bench before the train comes. So that fucks my back up. So then I can't sleep at all on the way back because they're constantly calling stations, so, and then there's,
wait, but you're not a total darkness girl, are you? Like, do you have to? You don't do the okay?
Because I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah, so can I. Because I get annoyed with. There's a couple people that I know that have to have a complete pitch black dark room, and for me,
I would prefer that. But I mean, it's not going to keep me from falling.
No, I mean, like, draw the curtains, pull the blinds down, put the face mask on, like it is, and I'm like,
yeah, I can't.
That's too much.
First of all, I don't want all that shit.
And
on my face.
I don't trust people. Like, I can't say. I need to be able to open my eye, and even if it is dark, I need to be able to at least try to fine tune and focus in on some beam of light somewhere. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. And then so because when you work for the train, you're supposed to be taking work calls on the train. So we still working.
Okay.
And I'm like, so the variance is, 35%, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, can you speak up? I was like, no, I'm on a fucking train.
Like, I'm on the train.
This bitch behind me is like, so what are we having for dinner? And I really want to go see this show. And I was like, bitch, your voice is piercing through the veil. And so that was a lot. So I was just glad to get home. And we got home like 45 minutes late. So, I wanted to get home, kick my shoes off, change into some more comfortable, because this is what I wore, to the office.
It's all right.
So I wanted to be comfortable. So that's that. But the job itself, she's fine. She's hectic, but she's fine. The interesting part about it is that it's a difficult job, but it's not a hard job.
Okay.
It ain't rocket science.
So it's still a little challenging for you.
It's very challenging in as much as there's a lot of moving pieces, but it is nothing that is beyond mine or your comprehension.
Okay.
To get done.
Okay.
But other people are making it hard because they just aren't paying attention. So like you get this, you got to do your report every month, and the report say you got to say why the sky is blue, why the seas are, why the seas are green, and why the sun is yellow. And so for your project, that was like the sky is blue because the sea is green because, and there's this, and here's the budget and all of that. Boom. Took 30 minutes to get all that done. So then you're supposed to do it. Then we have a review of the shit. And then there's this one guy who's like got this real arrogant kind of attitude. He was like, why are we in this meeting? And the woman, is not my job to. So we have a project controls person whose job it is to sort of organize all this shit and keep us up to date with templates and stuff. And what she basically said is like, because the boss said to have your ass here in the meeting. She said it, an older white woman, but that was essentially the point of it. He was right. It's mandatory. She was like, Stewart said we needed to have this meeting. Yeah. And Stewart wasn't there because he had to be in another meeting. And then, but the number two, who was my direct boss, was there. I was like, so we're going through the stuff. We go through my stuff, and I repeated why the sky is blue, why the sea is green, why the sun is yellow. And it was fine. Took like 5 minutes. My boss asked 1 or 2 questions, clarifying questions. We was good to go. We get to this dude, and he's like, it's all there on the page. And I'm like, see, he couldn't be talking to me like that, because that's like the second time he didn't got flip. Ooh. But he wasn't talking to me. So I'm gonna leave it alone.
It's all there on the page. This is a presentation.
It's all there on the page for everybody. But the point of this is to review it with the senior manager and the big boss, because he is the one that's then gotta combine all that shit into one report for the whole program. And people are going to ask him questions. And so if he can't get all of his answers, then whatever. And people be acting like they can't be fired. And I don't really know what to tell them. So anyway, so he's all there on the page, and older white woman who is really nice. She's really nice. We get along really fine. Is like, yes. But you can hear it in her voice. She's like, yes, it is on the page, but I need you to walk me through it.
Yes. And she was nice by saying that. Like, it's like, yes, but could you walk me through that, please? I really appreciate it.
And so he did. And all of his shit was wrong. Like he was like, the sky is green because the sea is purple because it was like, you're not answering the questions. All of this shit that you said is on the paper. None of this is right. You didn't use the right formulas. You didn't do none of the right shit that you were supposed to do. And you weren't paying attention in the meeting this morning because all your shit wasn't even uploaded to the place where it was supposed to be. So I feel like he's going to be a problem. Yesterday, so I'm good at what I do. I've already become the poster child. And I said to my boss, I was like, please stop saying that. It feels good to me, but now that puts a target on my back for all of the other people.
Yes. And listen, if any of them are watching, you might not want to do that
because the thing is that when I make a mistake, which I'm bound to do because I'm human, then everybody's gonna be like, "Oh," then it's gonna become a thing. So but anyway, so she's like, "Hey, I want you to sit in on this interview," and I was like, "Girl, I just got here like a month ago. How am I interviewing people already?" But anyway, so she hands me this interview, and I know this thing, and I know this guy isn't watching. This person isn't watching. This person's name is Undrea. How would you pronounce that?
Undrea. Andrea.
So we'll go with that.
Okay.
So,
and I would, for me, I would literally say, if I didn't say, how do you pronounce it? Tell me your name.
We didn't even get to that.
I would probably just kind of say, Andrea. Is that how you pronounce it? Like for me, I would do that. But anyway, go ahead.
So we get there. I was early finishing up the other shit. So I log on like 5 minutes early. This person's already there. First of all, it's a dude. And I was like, oh, this dude's name is Andrea. But then before I could say anything, he was like, hi, Andre so-and-so. I was like, Undrea is pronounced Andre.
That's the start of that is the start. That's right. All downhill from there.
He explained it by saying he's from some little town in Alabama, which is east of Montgomery. So it's like 90 minutes from Atlanta. And the other woman that was on the call, her great grandmother is from the same town. And he was like, yeah, so, my mother decided to put her own little spin on it. And I was like, no, your mother couldn't spell. Because if it was going to be Andre, but spelled with a U, it should have been, even if it was going to be Undray, okay, that's Andre. Or Undre, that's still Andre. Andre with a Undrea, that is Andrea or Andrea. Exactly, entendre. Exactly.
Right. Entendre, girl.
And so
here
you go, really B. Here, have a drink. This shit is good.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on? Really B, you need to tell us about this trip, because I see y'all went and had a little trip and had a little good time, you and Ebby. So I want to hear all about this Puerto Rico trip that you all went on.
Yes.
Thanks and please.
And so he go to interview. His resume read like a really qualified technical person, but not a program manager.
Okay. So I
see
what that means.
He didn't answer any of the questions to my satisfaction, based on the hectic nature of, I know the way this job goes. And we already got people at our job, in our team who's like this. They're better at being the SME than the program manager. So that's what they do. We aren't supposed to be designing shit. We're supposed to be managing people who do the designs. But we got a guy on our team, because that's his expertise and that's his comfort zone. He's down in the weeds with all this project. You need to be up here.
Yeah.
You're down here doing all of this, picking out tapestry colors and bullshit, when you're supposed to be up here managing scope, schedule, and budget. And so that's what I said. But I prefaced my comments after he left, and everybody read his name. It was like, yeah, Andre, yeah, that guy. So I said, all right, so I'm going to begin. And I knew I could say this because my boss is one of those people that does this. Y'all know this. We'll be in a meeting and she'll be like, do you know Bob? And I'll be like, no, I don't know Bob. You're like, you know Bob. And I was like, I don't know Bob. And she'll be like, oh, and so what that means is Black Bob. So, and she's even like our first day.
It's either this
or this. And she won't say anything. We'll just be in the meeting. She'll be like, right. Or like one time we were in the meeting, she was like, meaning that this white person don't like black people. Or has had issues.
Right.
Because, so apparently a lot of racists at Amtrak. Anyway, so I was like, all right, so I said, it's just us. It was me and two other black people that interviewed her. Me, my boss, and another person on our team. It was like, he already gets the black discount. But even with the black discount, I don't think he answered the questions to my satisfaction. And my boss said, I see what you're saying, but I think he can still do it, with training and stuff. And then the other woman would sort of put the cap on it. She was like, she didn't do this, But we all knew what she meant when she said, there's other people who are terrible at their job who still managed to get through. And we all knew exactly who she was talking about. We was like, well, at least this girl got technical skills. We could show him how to do the reports and stuff. So we just got this brother a job.
Well, good.
I
think so. That's the other thing too. I think, and if people lead off with that, sometimes you have the technical skill, and you kind of say, these are my skills, these are my background. Although I've not been privy to having the responsibility solely, but I've worked with people. That's a way to say that, listen, I'm trainable, or I can at least, you're not lying to people.
I'm not the boss who ultimately makes a decision, but I have a note that says, told you so. Already.
Told you so. Told you so. Told you so.
I already have my told you so waiting in the wings for like 4 or 5 months down the road when we got to let him go, or because she'll have conversations for me that she probably shouldn't be having with, but we're cool. And when we had that conversation, I'm be like, told you so, told you so, told you so. So listen, I hope I'm wrong, but like even his resume doesn't give any hint that he's a program manager. It gives hints that he's good at like doing technical IT stuff, like shit that I had to look up some of the shit on his resume because I was like, I don't know what any of this means. But it didn't give me the sense that he could like be a good people manager,
and that is
navigate
important.
The political minefield or whatever.
Important.
So, but fine. Listen, we gave his brother a job. We're going to work with him, and fine. He could turn out to be perfect, but like I said, I got a canned, told you so, just waiting in the wings. Other than that, it's cool. This job feels like a lot of. See, we're a service provider, right?
Okay.
So we provide IT services on behalf of these big projects. And so the people who provide the services take any excuse to not do something. It was like, oh, well, we need to meet with the service owner or with the business to define what their requirements are. And I look back at the notes, and this said for 6 months, waiting on so-and-so, this area, widget making. Widget making needs to meet with the business owner in order to define the requirements. And that's been in the thing for like 6 months. And I'm like, so I said, we were in the meeting, right? And this is what the job is. It's like, I hear what you're saying, that requirements need to be, we need to meet with the business to do this. But saying that, don't get it accomplished.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Like we need to take that person, or that person needs to take it and say, okay, if these are things that need to be done, let's focus on getting them done. Let's reach out to those contacts. Let's reach out to those organizations. Let's make this happen.
And so the last thing I'll say is, all right, so we hear that, right? And so then I was like, all right, so because now I'm the program manager, so it's my job to integrate all of this shit. As like, I will set up this meeting between the widget makers and the business to define what y'all requirements are for this widget. That was last week. This bitch ain't done nothing for a year on this shit. She messaged me today talking about, I thought you said you was going to set up this meeting. I waited for you. I wanted to throw this phone on the fucking train. I was like, bitch, you haven't done this shit for a year. And now all of a sudden you got me on the fucking timetable? Girl, fuck you. I mean, she was right, because I did say that I would get it done, but don't act like it's all of a sudden a priority when you haven't done anything. How long has this been? A year. This project has been going on for like 4 or 5 years.
How long has it been since you said you would set up the meeting?
A week. And it's the holidays.
Go have several.
Get the fuck off my. When I saw it on my phone, I was like, I looked at it. I put my phone down. I looked at it again. I was about to respond. I was like, girl, I'll deal with that tomorrow.
I swear to God, if I've learned nothing else, That right there is not to respond, which was like, bitch, let me tell you something, ho. Don't you ever text me with them. Then I was like, you know what? Let me just wait.
I wasn't going to say it like that, but what I was going to do was go back in my notes and start putting it together because I was like, yeah, I probably should have, because next week people are going to be gone. I want to get on their schedules. So her point was taken, but it was the tone of the email. It was very sort of passive aggressive. It was like, I thought you said you was going to set up this meeting last week, and I haven't seen anything on my calendar yet. And I was like, bitch, you were supposed to set this meeting up like a year ago.
And see, my snarky ass would have been like, well, one more week and the year is not going to make that much of a difference at this point, but I'll do it next week, just so you'll know. But I mean, I've done shit like, and so this is why my ass... This is why my ass has had some of the issues that I've had, because I hate when people do shit like that. Like it's the work is the work.
Yeah.
But it's the way you actually, like, I swear to God, like there's not much on this planet that's that difficult that you can't do, but it's all about your relationship with people and getting them to do it. And I swear that's the thing that makes me just say, absolutely not, girl. I've sent some very
pointed
on accident or accidentally on purpose, all caps emails. Oh, I'm sorry, it was all in caps when I sent it to you. I didn't mean it that way. If you take the caps out, it's not really. They're like, well, it's just a very nasty message. No, it wasn't. If you take it out of caps, it doesn't look as bad.
I'm not trying to get fired.
I mean, I'm just, now listen, by no means am I telling you to do that. And should I have been talked to or disciplined? Some of them times I was. And should I have been fired? Maybe one time I should have, but you know, it just is what it is. But I feel like when people try you sometimes,
you sometimes.
Now, do I regret any of those things? I regret about 95% of those things because it was unnecessary.
I learned that lesson when I cussed that bitch out.
It was
back in 2007.
Yeah.
When I told you I had that conversation. It was 2008 with the conversation. I was like, bitch, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? I learned that lesson. I was like, you know what? It's not even worth it. So I just leave it alone.
Yes.
And I'm not even going to respond.
Yes.
I'm not going to respond. I am going to respond and say, yeah, thank you for the reminder. I've been very busy with other stuff and lots of competing priorities. You'll see. But I'm not going to respond to her until after the meeting is set up. And then I'm going to be like, bitch,
this meeting is set by this date. You should have XYZ done by this date, and I'll expect to hear from you by this date.
There's that. And so it's so funny because we have a standing meeting every Wednesday that was at 3:00.
Okay.
One of the big teams called my boss, was like, hey, can we move this meeting because our team gets to work at 6 and leave at 3 because they do some shit. Okay, so it's fine. It's all right. So that's fine. Do they, they also union. So, you got a whatever. So we moved the meeting to 1:30 at their specific request. That was 3 weeks ago. Them motherfuckers haven't been to a single meeting since it's been removed. And so I said to my boss, I was like, I find it very funny that the main bitches that asked for me to move this meeting have not been at a single meeting. She was like, oh, no problem. And guess what?
She moved it back to
No, we kept it at the time, but she called them. She was like, we moved this meeting to accommodate y'all, and y'all aren't on the meeting.
This is Karen. I'm just trying to understand why you all are not on the call. Like,
right.
What's going on?
We moved this meeting for you, and you're not on it.
You guys are not on it. Is there something else?
I really do like this job. My old boss from Pepco called me. She was like, how's it going? And she was like, please tell me you hate it. And I was like, no. I was like, it's challenging, but
yeah. And
I was like, do I miss some days having nothing to do all day? Yes.
Did you say that to her?
I did.
Oh. Okay.
She knew. I said that in my exit interview. I said
mine is tomorrow. They finally set it up.
Bitch, it's the exit.
Yeah.
I'm leaving. I can say whatever the fuck I want. They can't like dock my pay or nothing. Shit. I mean, did I say how did I say it? But it doesn't matter. It was that general tone.
Okay.
And I was like, I missed the day. I didn't say not having nothing to do. I missed the days of having a much slower schedule. I think I said something like that. But yeah, even though I missed that, I know that was a dead end thing for me. This joint My boss is one of those older white guys who looks like he's about to have a heart attack all the time. Cause like we'll be in a meeting and the meeting will be from 2 to 3, right? And he got to dip out at 2:15 because he's double booked for another meeting. Then he's got another meeting. So like we're all supposed to be in New York.
He's always coming in wet and sweaty and like glistening, like, oh, I'm sorry, I just made it here. Where are we? Bring me up to speed.
Exactly, very that.
He's
So
his tie,
as
trying to
soon
get all
as
comfortable.
that motherfucker dies or moves on or whatever, and then my boss moves up, I feel like I could do her job. I probably couldn't because I don't have the IT knowledge, but there's plenty of room in that agency for me to move in a way that I could never do
at the old one.
Now we'll see, because it's the difference between how much a contractor makes and I don't know what the Amtrak pay scale is, because if they start talking bullshit like, oh, we'll only, here I am at X.
Right.
If the salary for a program manager Amtrak employee is 85% of X,
like, I'm staying here.
I'm going to stay here for a moment, but then I will also be moving on.
And can I also say that as I was going through my HR pack about the retirement with the state,
it's not cute, quite as cute as you thought it was.
It's not cute at all. Like, it's just not cute. It's not. Like, the state is one of those places where if you get in young and early, and they
because they got the old school,
right? Because they got that 90
401k.
Well, it's so funny because it's like, well, wait a minute, like what the fuck, like what, like this is. I was like, okay, it sucks. The health insurance is great, but anything else is
that health insurance be good. But you can go. None of your prescriptions cost.
I am paying what I will be paying, what I'm currently paying every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be paying for the highest price plan with the state, still about $60 less
in a month, or every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, because they're spreading it over much more a larger
pool of people. Yes. Yeah. And so, but then I also am facing with, I'm also sitting there thinking like, well, maybe I should stay over with Kaiser because, I kind of like them, but I kind of gotten to that point with them, but I think I'm going to go back to my care first because I like them. But anyway,
all right. So we've got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, we do.
Oh, you know what? We didn't mention our activities this weekend past.
Okay. Yes.
Because I see Dylan is here.
So yes. So this past weekend, so what was the first event? The first event was the Onyx had our meet and greet, which was for the pledges to meet the brothers and the brothers to meet the pledges, along with the pearls to come in to meet the pledges. So basically, it is our introduction of the pledges to everybody in the organization. And
side note, did you know that they opened more rooms at MAL?
Let's come back to that for a second, because I was kind of pissed off about that.
But you got a room there.
I do, but I'm still working on somebody else's to get them into the hotel. But anyway, so I was with my line brother, I was with Spectre. So we're coming down. Shout out to him, and I hope he's watching, because I just wanted to let you know that you are fine. You'll be okay. You're good. About
what we
sort of kind of we caught no
about the form.
He did.
Okay, because I haven't looked at any of it.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we got there a little bit late, and so we kind of came up, and I came in on the last person, which was Mark, who said something about his activities.
Yeah, but I was next to I'd gotten there like 2 seconds before you did, so I walked in and all eyes were on me. As I walked in, all eyes was on you. It was like, hello.
Oh, like, hey, hey.
Is this how the thing is set up?
Hey, listen, but it was fine. But it was a great time. I was glad to see it. And it was, I think for me, what I really enjoyed the most, and I don't know about you, but for me, I fucking miss being around everybody. Like, that was fun for me. Like, it was like, listen, you talk about a family, you talk about being around, other people.
Sorry, I realize I'm on camera.
You talk about being around family. And as much as your family can get on your last nerve at times.
Oh, shit, I'm still on camera.
I swear to God.
Drink.
I swear to God, I enjoyed myself. And it was just good energy to be around people. So I was happy to see, like, all the pledges. Everybody was getting along. I was happy to see like Helios and laugh and joke with him.
Yes.
I was happy to see like Dylan. I was happy to see Iron Sparks and my little brother Dominique. And like I was just happy to see everybody. I was happy to see TJ and like all the pledges that came up from out of town. Like it was just a good time. And of course, you know, like I see this one all the time, but it's still always good to see everybody in that same space. So it was just a good time. So I had a good time there.
I had a good time, but I was over it very quickly.
Well, and I also had a DNA appointment, so I was trying to come in, smile, and then be out. So like I had gotten a little tipsy because my ass hadn't had anything to eat. Yeah. I was drunk like shit, but I had a wonderful evening. Let me just be clear on that.
I was over it because I was tired. I mean, you know, this job be wearing me out. So I had kind of remembered it, but half forgot about it. So I hadn't got my spirit around peopling that day. I was ready to people on Sunday because it's brunch. Yeah, so I can people for brunch. Right. But I wasn't necessarily totally prepared to people on Saturday evening, but it ended up being fun.
It was really good. Oh, shout out to my other little brother, Cardi. I'm rest well and don't get your ass on that fucking road no damn time soon. Sit your ass down. Yeah, Maximus, keep his ass in the house.
Yes.
Anyway, but then on Sunday was the brunch. And so it started off, the place was actually really cute, but what started off for me and set the tone was trying to find parking spaces. So here I am, I'm zooming through the streets and shit. I'm trying to find parking spaces and shit. Then all of a sudden I see this car and I was like, that's Dominion's car. And I was like, I looked over, you're in it. And I was like, okay, so I'm going back around trying to find a parking space. And shout out to Dominion for just saying, okay, girl, somebody just moved. You better bring this car back. And I was like,
bitch, I saw you do a 7-point turn in the middle of the intersection.
I was like, and I got to the intersection. I was like, I think he's to the right. And I was like, oh, but no, he's to the left. And I had to turn back around and come back around.
It was a lot.
I was like, okay. But so it was great seeing everybody. And I had the food was good.
It was.
The company was good.
It was.
I got to see.
It was good to see Louboutin because that was my first time. Okay. I saw it that weekend because we saw him on Saturday too. Okay. But you know, after all of what he's been through,
he was in good spirits. Yes. And listen, shout out to Louboutin for being the belle of the ball, because apparently he was getting a lot of attention. We'll just say it that way. So I'm here for it. And I was I was just happy to see everybody, all the pledges together, all of us together. So the pearls came through, and I was happy to see. And I got bumped into Gemini. I haven't seen her in a minute. It was good to see her. So Gemini was online with Rain with her line. So
that was her,
sort of, kind of.
From Saturday night,
Locks.
Yes. Okay, that's her. Okay, got it. I couldn't remember that she was.
Yes,
she came up to me. She was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey."
So anyway, I was just happy to see everybody, and it was a good time. The brunch was good. The bottomless samosas was good. The place was good, so I enjoyed myself. And shout out to Papa as well, because between Papa as well as Coyote, they kind of put their foot down. Not put their foot down, put the thing down in the selection. Aries. Was it Aries? Mm-hmm. And Aries as well.
Yeah, that was a good little spot because I had been past there, but it felt like a place that.
It's like
how many? I'm using that all the time from now on.
It's okay, never mind. But when we were upstairs, it was great.
And because we rented that whole spot out. The bartender Sean or whatever.
Listen, Sean had this hair. This hair was amazing.
He felt Envy or GNC to me,
something like that. But his hair was amazing. I can't
remember if we didn't get around to the point of pronouns, right? But you know, he felt like would fit right in with our crowd.
Absolutely. Listen, Sean had like 4 different colors of green and some yellow highlights. Festive. It was beautiful, and it was cut right. And you know, when a haircut is cut right, it lays and it goes back in it. And he was sitting there pouring drinks and shaking it a little bit. I was like, this hair is amazing. Yes. So shout out to him. But it was a good time.
The guy that was I think the guy that was doing the waffles and the omelets.
He was funny.
He was fan.
He was funny. He was definitely funny. But the only so here I'm gonna be the Russian judge.
Them waffles was janks.
So I didn't do waffles.
The waffles was made with cornmeal.
But some people said they liked it because it was kind of sweet.
No.
But it wasn't
that it was sweet, is that it's got bits of
it was
made with cornmeal, so it was grainy.
Grainy. Okay. So for me, it was the bacon. I was like,
that bacon was definitely underdone.
And I always go through this with my roommate. Because his thing is,
you know who liked their bacon like that?
Well, that's because his name and his whole line of people. There's a whole side of them. That's.
Who we talking about? Demaya?
No, my roommate.
Ed? Mm-hmm. He like his bacon like that?
Listen,
girl, that shit was bloody almost.
We have an argument about this all the time. Because his thing is, you shouldn't be able to pick up a piece of bacon. It should stand up. And I was like,
no, ma'am.
What do you mean? But your bacon is still mooing. Like it's still mooing or oinking on the plate. Like, what are you talking about? Because I mean, we have beef bacon too. But I'm just saying, like, it's still like
beef bacon is not bacon. That's slabs of smoked beef, but it's good. But it don't taste like bacon.
I'm just calling that's the name of it.
It tastes like smoked meat, which is good, but it don't taste like bacon.
So anyway, but he would have enjoyed it. But I was just like, could you? And that was the first time that I probably did not eat no more bacon because I was like, I come from school.
I went through and
bacon,
found,
butter, and cheese make everything taste better.
But
the sausages was amazing.
The sausages were good. They ran out of
that was amazing
real quick too.
Ooh, yeah, they did. They ran out because I had like 2 or 3 pieces. It was really good.
That's why I didn't have them because you ate all the fucking sausages.
Well, I mean, I paid my money, so what the hell? Shit, everybody else they paid their money.
Well, most people paid their money, but that's another story. Woo! Well, let's talk about these stories. All right, so like a heavy anchor, he's taking the Dolphins.
That's the only. Listen. So from the birdcage, when
I don't remember that at all.
So Nathan Lane's character was like, when Robin Williams was teaching him how to like butch it up and be real.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, how about those dolphins?
How about those dolphins?
Or he said, and Robin Williams was like, so, oh man, did you see that game? Yeah, he's like 3rd and 20, 2 seconds left.
Oh, and then he hit him, and he was like, oh,
and he was like, how do you feel? He's like, bewildered.
Right.
It was so again. That's one of so when I always said, how about those dolphins? That's why I'm like, how about those dolphins?
Yes.
But anyway, let's get into these stories. And this is for me. This is one. I don't know if I wanted to nominate him as stunt queen or
I didn't read this
family
story,
of stunt queens.
You tell the story, and I'll let you know what.
Okay,
we'll come up to a decision.
Here's the thing. So people, this is what I've heard allegedly.
Well, this is a story. This ain't alleged.
This part of it. This part of it.
Oh,
this is what I've heard allegedly. Allegedly, they say if you're gonna do your dirt, you do your dirt by yourself. You ain't got to worry about nobody else getting involved. You ain't got to worry about nobody else knowing what's going on, and you ain't got to worry about nobody else doing stuff. Well, apparently, this young man didn't follow these rules. So there's an operator of a North Carolina credit repair business who was sentenced to 8 years in prison for creating fake police reports to clean up his client's bad credit. And then he enlisted his family to help run a $3.4 million credit card fraud scheme. The gentleman's name is Michael Griffin, who's 53. He involved 7 of his relatives, including his wife, daughter, 2 brothers, and 3 sisters, one of whom was an online pastor. Come on and get it out. Get it out. Get it out. Get it out.
He didn't say pastor.
Online pastor.
It was the adjective for me. The online pastor. But they be asking for they be asking you for tithes and offerings. You got to send your tithes and offerings via Cash App or Venmo.
Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Like what? Listen,
Wi-Fi ain't free.
I mean,
we need $20,000 to upgrade our Wi-Fi.
So this is what he did. The scheme that involved the creation of synthetic identities, and that relied on stolen social security numbers of children. And so there was a probe that began in 2019 when authorities charged him with filing false police reports with credit rating agencies stating that his clients, some of whom had paid him up to $3,000 for his credit repair service, saying that they were the victims of identity theft. So this ruse often worked, and Griffin's clients were unaware that what he'd done, according to court documents. So Griffin had done this.
That's actually a good stunt.
Yeah, but here's how he got caught. He'd done this for about nearly 600 clients. So after he was charged with this, do
the clients keep their good credit as a result of this?
So, but this is where it is. Okay. The case got expanded when investigators determined that Griffin had engaged in something called, again, synthetic identity theft, where the stolen social security number is often paired with a fake name, thereby creating a false identity. The scam then expanded into credit card fraud, and Griffin was accused of enlisting his family members to help apply for dozens of Lowe's credit cards using the synthetic identities. So investigators say Griffin would then max out the cards to purchase prepaid cash cards and then walk away from the credit card. That's where he got caught. That's where he got caught. So that whole idea and all that good stuff, like that probably works, but that's where you got caught. Now, again, he pleaded guilty to all these charges. He was sentenced to 100 months in federal prison, and he was also ordered to pay $400,000 in restitution. All of his relatives pleaded guilty as well, and they were sentenced to as much as 14 months in prison. So, listen,
that's definitely stunt queen, and
like that's the family of like the family that prays together.
First of all, what you said is accurate. It got messy because he had a system down. The girls got sloppy and with the system and greedy with the system.
Yep.
You can't be going to the same Lowe's. You got to hit all the Lowe's in the area with different identities. You can't be using the same shit. They got greedy and sloppy with it. You know what?
Right. Listen.
Mm-hmm. So that's the girl. This isn't a stunt. This is craft on a high. This is craft on a of the highest degree.
And bitch, I'm here for
this
the girls.
Is much more than writing a check. Because listen, so here's what you do.
This is crafting. This is absolute crafting.
This is Kmart craft. It's what you do. Kmart craft is you write a check for something, right? That you know is going to bounce, but you don't give a shit about that. Let's say you write a check for something that costs $250, right? Before the check bounces, you go and return the shit and get your $250 out, and then don't worry about the check, because clearly your bank is already overdrawn when you're doing all of this.
But all of this is before,
allegedly.
All of this is also before that the new system. I can't think what it's called.
This was in the 90s.
Yeah, check whatever.
This was in the 90s.
If you write a check now,
early
it's scanned,
90s,
and it's scanned, and the money's coming out immediately, as opposed to when you used to give people checks, and they would put it in a drawer and then cash it 2 or 3 days later, and the shit would come through.
This is the early 90s.
So this is before all that. It's called check.
90s.
It's called check something, or I can't remember what it is, but it's like instantly if you write a check.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And or I did this with I wanted a new iron.
Now again, these are all alleged.
This is all alleged.
These are all alleged. And these are.
If one wanted a new iron, this is back in the day at Kmart. Kmart had a return policy where you just return some shit, and they also didn't open all of the boxes of stuff. I had this old. I got a brand new iron, right?
Hey, best friend.
Let's say the iron was like $75.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old $10 iron.
Uh-huh.
I returned, or one would return the old $10 iron in the $75 iron box and get your cash back. And then one has a brand new $75 iron plus $75.
On top of when you initially bought it, you probably switched the boxes anyway. Allegedly, people have switched the boxes and put the $75 iron in the $10 iron box, and you paid $10 for the iron and walked out. That's what some of the people allegedly used to do.
One might, or allegedly one might actually have a pricing gun for certain institutions and could set their own prices for
that is alleged as well. Just like when you also allegedly work at said institution and you know what their pricing schedule is actually like and what departments, and you actually know how to actually play tag and actually make them work so they're not.
Or if one worked
allegedly
at a grocery store. Let's call it Bood Blind. And
nobody knows what that is.
No, it's totally made up.
It's totally made up.
So one worked in the deli of Bood Blind.
Allegedly, if you did.
And because you have to make all of the food that's like in the deli case, like if they got hot wings, you got to make the wings or the chicken salad or the whatever. So one has to go to the floor and buy chicken or whatever. So you would ring that out. And Bood Blyan allegedly was very sloppy with the receipt handling. So one could come in and do their grocery shopping through that. You could also allegedly ring people up through that. So if your friends came through Bood Blyan, they would say instead of going to the cashier, you could come to the deli and one could ring you up there. You could get $100. You ain't gonna get like for free, but one could get
allegedly
$100 worth of groceries
allegedly.
For 30 or $40.
Yeah, allegedly.
Because one would discount things heavily, and again, this is all before systems that before everything was scannable,
right.
There were barcodes on things. Not blood blind, it's bood blind.
Right.
BOOD BLION.
Right.
Bood blind.
So kind of like even at this other place that I heard allegedly, Ferry Scene. So they would sell like ice cream dishes and stuff. And so at Ferry Scene, the amount of ice cream in, let's say, a basic ice cream cone was the same amount of ice cream that was in a deluxe treat. So like a banana split, but the banana split was 2.5 times as much as just a plain cone.
Gotcha.
So when the manager would kind of look at the how much ice cream has been sold by the weight or by the volume, he could calculate how much money was actually should be there.
Right.
But if you are just told him that all the things that you actually sold were not they were not sold as the banana splits, but they were sold as cones, then you would actually just have to go through and allegedly take out the difference because there was extra money that was in there that you could actually take out. Excuse me. You rang it up as a sundae, but it was actually charged as a ice cream cone to them. I'm sorry, not to them.
Now,
so the difference you want to take it out. So yeah.
The stuntiest of stunts that I've heard
alleged.
of allegedly occurred at a place called Bonnie Bifty. So what one would do is one would get a money order, let's say for $100. Allegedly. Then, and one would do whatever one wanted with that money order. Then one would say one lost the money order and would return to the Bonnie Bifty with the stub from the money order and say, can you cancel out this old money order and issue me a new one? Allegedly. So one would get another money order made, but this is again in the days before everything being electronic, because there was, in the old days, there was a grace period between when the money order was cashed and when it hit whatever system where the money from the money order resides. So one is canceling a money order that has already been cashed and issuing another one. And because in certain cities there were a number of Bonnie Bifties, you could, just run the circuit of doing this. And, you go in rather nondescript clothing, you don't go. Here's the thing. Don't get your cousins to go in there and be like, oh, I could go and get a $5,000 money order. It's got to be a small amount. Or allegedly, it's got to be for like, $50, $75, some innocuous amount that isn't going to raise suspicion. And it's got to be a round number. It can't be like, I need a money order for
$89.27.
Right. It's got to be some random ass number, allegedly,
right.
And so those all just
and I remember there was some rumor going around at some particular point in time that somebody had access to the actual payroll checks.
Oh.
And so
see, that's
and so allegedly
when people saw talk about that, that's when I'm like, I'm out.
And listen,
I don't even want to hear about
it. I feel like you was tempting fate with that, but I mean, good for you. But allegedly, they had these payroll checks, and they were type them up for whatever they need to be typed up for, and then go and cash them and keep it moving. And I was like, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You're so
you are a bold one.
Yeah, Mr. Grinch.
Because that feels like a lot.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, listen, okay, you've done all that. Okay, well, great. So that means dinner's on you. Okay, great. There you go.
Right.
But anyway, these are all alleged.
No, this is all alleged.
Allegedly.
Bonnie Wifty made it out just fine.
Right.
Exactly.
Ferry scene while they sold the right amount of ice cream, the amount of profits it added up on their end, but on our end, it just made for a good evening. That's what they have been telling me, allegedly. So, I mean,
Best friend said, I saw 2 ladies return 9 bags of dinner rolls to Costco in Beltsville last night. The reason was we had a party on Sunday and we didn't need all these. Costco's gave them a refund.
I have the video.
I mean, if the dinner rolls are unopened.
If they are unopened, I mean, and there's no holes in the package, and but if I was Costco and I took those things back, I wouldn't sell them. Just my own personal thing. I wouldn't.
They put them girls back on the floor.
Anyway, so our next story. So we were. This is kind of spiteful because we were hearing all this, having all this information about Jussie Smollett. But I found it really interesting that during the time that Jussie was on trial for his shenanigans and later convicted, I found this article about Josh Duggar. Do you guys remember who Joshua Duggar is? He is the oldest of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar's 19 children and was a star on the television show 19 Kids and Counting, if you all remember this family. Well, he also served as executive director of the Family Research Council and led rallies against LGBTQ rights, including a 7-state faith, family, and freedom tour. So listen, a federal jury in Arkansas on last Thursday convicted Joshua of downloading and possessing child pornography. He was convicted of 1 count of receipt of child pornography and 1 count of possession of child pornography. And now each charge carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison and about $250,000 in fines. When police arrested Duggar, they say he used a torrent service to download images showing the sexual abuse of toddlers and other children into a computer in May 2019. The prosecution used geolocation, timestamps, and text messages to link Duggar to the Springdale car lot at around the same time the child pornography was downloaded. Listen, the defense argued that the content could have been downloaded remotely or by another person at the car lot. They wasn't having that. The final prosecution witness called was Bobby Holt, a family friend of the Duggars, and Holt testified about an
that
incident
looks like Bobby
on.
It's Bobye. That's Bobby.
Is that Andre's cousin? That's Andre's cousin. Okay. Holt testified.
That's Kanye's cousin.
The guy you interviewed.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But Holt testified about an incident that happened in March of 2003 where Duggar allegedly touched the private parts of 4 juveniles aged 5 through 12.
Here's the thing for me. Let's not dash over the part is that Josh served as executive director of the Family Research Council and led rallies against LGBTQ rights, including a 7-state faith, family, freedom tour. So they have campaigned actively against gay rights. Back in 2008, the same year that Barack Obama was first elected, remember, I think it was called Proposition 8 about gay rights in California.
Yep.
Michelle Duggar made robocalls in California because that proposition was defeated.
Prop 8, yep.
Yeah. Robocalls about that, and there's this whole.
I think that was about the sanctity of marriage or whatever it was.
Sanctity of marriage.
Like that, yeah.
These people are always like, it's, we don't want transgender rights because, there'll be some man dressed as a woman in the woman's bathroom molesting children. Meanwhile, this hoe is downloading
pornographic images of children. And specifically, go ahead,
toddlers and other children. So these children are too, I mean, not that it's better if the children are older. These children are so young that they can't even know what's happening to them at all. And, you know, but it's the gays and trans people who are the problem in societies. But always, it's these same people who are in the bathroom tapping their foot looking for trade, or going to the Miss America pageant and groping women under the table, or doing all of this kind of crazy shit. It's not transgender people. And it's not gays or lesbians.
Is not his first offense, because again,
not at all.
Said he was tried for allegedly touching private parts of 4 juveniles ages 5 through 12.
One of whom was his sister. And they basically threw the little sister under the bus and was like, let's just pray on it. No, girl, you need to pray for his ass while he's in jail or counseling. And they did give him counseling, but they gave him that bullshit Christian counseling.
Yeah, they said something like he's in lifetime rehab or
I mean, you know, he didn't go to a licensed counselor with a degree in counseling. It was some bullshit Christian counseling where they sat around and prayed about it. Meanwhile, this little girl has to live in the same house with her abuser and see him every day. And, you know, they were like, oh, it's going to be fine. You know, nothing. I'm sure that dude touched her again. I hope he didn't. But, you know, so fuck this guy.
Right there in front of his face.
And, you know, it's also, Josh Duggar also, when he said a couple of years ago that he had a porn addiction. You know, because, you know, the straight, you know, even Kirk Franklin, you know, like to blame all of their misdeeds on a porn addiction. No, girl, you don't have a porn addiction. You like porn just about as much as any other person. What you're trying to do is blame all of your other failings on porn because people see porn as evil. Don't blame the porn. Blame the fact that you can't control yourself.
Blame the issue on the person and not
the good, decent porn, the good, decent men and women who like to get nutted in.
Right. They're doing their Christian service and for community service for the world. They are procreating and showing the ways of life.
Right.
And ecstasy to people.
Damn straight.
So that's what we're talking
about.
So
fuck that guy. I hope they bury him under the jail. I have zero sympathy for him, especially when it comes to he's already been convicted, or I don't know if he's been tried for touching 4 young people. 2003. Yes, he was young himself, but he wasn't 5 when it happened. He was a teenager, so he was grown enough to know the consequences of what happens. If they can arrest teenage Negroes and, you know, try them as adults for their stuff, then he knows what he was doing when he touched his little sister and these other girls.
Yes, he
knew what he was doing when he did all of this other stuff. And, you know,
come on, court documents.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, theoretically, he could have, the defense says the content could have been downloaded, the material remotely by another person at the car lot. I mean, anything is possible. But they said geolocation and timestamps, which, yes, because geolocation is not, timestamps is not whatever, but text messages is specific like a motherfucker.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
You know, you can trace a text message to a very specific person. It'd be really hard to spoof someone else's text messages. So fuck that guy. Waitress fired after revealing restaurant made her pull $4,400 tip from generous patrons. An Arkansas waitress had her. Thanks. An Arkansas waitress had her joy turned to devastation after she was fired from her job following a bit of controversy surrounding a generous tip from a 44-person party she served at the Oven and Tap restaurant in Bentonville. The patrons rewarded Ryan Brandt and another server who attended to the large party by leaving $100 tips each, totaling $4,400 for the pair as a part of their 100 dinner club tradition to pass their fortunes on to others who have less. One of the patrons filmed Wise announcing the club's tipping policy with Brandt at his side, capturing her emotional response to the news. The other waitress had gone home early due to not feeling well, but was still meant to get half the tip money. However, management asked Brandt to pool the money, spreading it out to the rest of her staff, which Brandt says is not restaurant policy, and she had never been asked to do so to do this before. It seemed that she agreed, but the founder of the club, Grant Wise, was not pleased about this when he found out, having called the restaurant ahead of time to confirm that tip pooling was indeed not their policy. He asked for the tip money back and handed it to Brandt personally outside of the restaurant. When the restaurant found out about this, they fired Brandt, claiming that telling Wise about the apparently unprecedented tip pooling was against company policy. Blah, 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 blah. In an ultimately happy ending to this tale, the GoFundMe page announced Thursday that Brandt was offered a new job at another local restaurant and has already started working there. The campaign is still up and has reached nearly $5,000 of the $6,000 goal. Listen. If you come to me.
So let's be clear. You and I already know how this story would have ended. We already know how this story would have ended.
You play the role.
Bitch, play the role.
I will play the role of the restaurant management. You will play the role of the girl.
Oh, okay. All right.
So hey Ryan, I heard you got a $4,400. You and Brandy, let's say, got a $4,400 tip.
Oh my God, yes we did. It was amazing.
That is awesome.
That was fucking
you
amazing.
All did a great service.
Yes, we did. That was listen. That was great.
So here's what I think you need to do. I think you need to share this tip with everybody in the restaurant.
I'm sorry, let me turn my hearing aid up. I didn't hear what you said.
Girl, you heard me.
No, I just want to make you
pretend like
clear.
You can't hear.
No, I can hear you. I'm just turning my hearing aid up.
No, girl. Listen. Pay attention. Listen to me with your good ear, Vera.
Okay, let me turn it over. Okay.
Vera, I want you to split this $4,400 tip with everybody in the restaurant.
Let me be clear so that you hear me with both your good ears. Hell no.
What'd you say, you fat nigger slut?
Hell no. Bitch, have you lost your mind? Bitch. Are you fucking kidding me?
I have been a waiter and I have dealt with a large party. I already would have been salty that I had to. Here's why I would have been salty. Let me explain why I would have been salty. That I had to split it with Brandy because Brandy left early. So that means
she left early. So she didn't
do half of the work.
She didn't do all the work.
She didn't do half of the work. You carried her ass with all of this, but you was like, all right, I will share this because I still get $2,200. Because half of $4,000 is still cute. $4,400 is still cute.
I was reading best friend thing.
What best friend say happened to me?
Remember the waiter that told y'all I didn't leave a tip and got y'all to leave him one, and I left a $50 tip.
Yes.
Was that Florida?
I can't remember where we were, but yeah, the girl was like, "Yeah, no one left me a tip," and we found out the best friend that left his whole $50. Ciao. But yeah, so she was already carrying Brandy, but she was like, all right, the dude that left the tip said, I want you to split it. So fine.
Great.
So still $2,200 is still great. Cute for a large party. That's great. Then for the restaurant to come in and be like, you got to share with everybody. No, the fuck I didn't. Now, here's the thing. I still would have been salty, but if he had said you need to split it with the cooks, then maybe still would have been salty, but it would have made sense then at least because the cooks had to cook food for 4,400 for 44 people.
But isn't their pay scale different than mine? I just want to be clear about that.
That's true because now waiters and waitresses still only make $2.13 an hour.
Because
which is the same shit.
I'm gonna break you off some change. I'm gonna break you off some change just because that's who I am. Now you're not getting my whole $2,200, but bitch, I'm gonna listen. Dinner's on me, or I got this, or whatever. Like I'm gonna do something for you because I appreciate it. Yeah, like I'm gonna be appreciative, but I'm not. Bitch,
no, bitch. And for me to split it with everybody in the restaurant,
no, ma'am.
All you hoes didn't do anything.
No, ma'am. I'm the person that had to walk around with this bullshit, deal with each one of all 44 of their personalities.
Even if they were all very nice.
Yeah, it's still 44 different people
to bring out all because you don't want everybody. You don't want the 44th person's food to be piping hot. and then
the first person's food is
right.
cold.
So that it does take some coordination and stuff. So no, other people in the restaurant get a piece of this, and they no, girl, no. I'd have been like this, no. And if they'd be like, well, we're gonna okay, girl, fine.
This would have been very much a Bugs Bunny skit. No.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Hell to the no. But anyway, so the next story. Listen, I'm gonna bring this up. I'm gonna just bring this up just because. Listen, we talked about this last week.
Yes, I'm over this.
We're gonna talk about
this bitch. I'm under her just so I could be over her again.
Listen, what is her damn name?
Sweet Brown. I was going to say Tessica Brown.
Tessica Brown, y'all know, was back in the news. Okay, so listen, we talked about this last week on the show. So she dyed her hair, and then she's had this hair fallout or whatever going on. Okay, now Brown says that since her hair came out in clumps, she took the proactive step to save her straggling strands. So she traveled to LaFew Hair Clinic in Pasadena, California, to undergo stem cell and platelet-rich plasma therapy performed by Dr. G. Kevork Abrahamian and hair specialist Jacques Abrahamian. Listen, let me stop you right here.
Girl, just wash all that shit out your hair and wait for the shit to grow back.
Let me just stop you right here. Tessa, girl, you're doing too much. Like, I get it. Women want to change their hair. But listen, this is what I also understand. We are living right now in a society where there are wigs aplenty, synthetic and human hair. Wigs aplenty. Girl, if you don't get yourself a wig and put that thing on and give your hair to rest for like a year before you do anything else to it and keep it the fuck moving, how about you just go natural? How about that? Just go natural. Like, you can change your hair up in 20 minutes. Not even 20 minutes, in 10 minutes by just putting on a different wig and gluing it down. Like, girl, it's not that difficult. But hey, it's not me. It's her hair. But anyway, so she went and had this thing done. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. It says, according to the specialist, it will take about, you'll see hair growth accelerate in about 6 to 9 months. So from now until then, we'll just wait and see what happens to her hair because remember it was falling out in clumps. Yeah, we're over that.
Fuck her.
So
suicide pods being developed in Switzerland, providing users a painless death. Okay.
So this is kind of I feel like this one is going to be a little bit of a chime in
controversy.
Well, I want people to chime in on this. So these so-called suicide capsules are being developed in Switzerland, which are 3D printed pods that allow people to choose the place where they want to die and assisted death. Sarco's suicide pods can be operated by the user from the inside. Dr. Philip Nietzsche, I want to say Nietzsche, the developer of the pods and founder of Exit International, a pro-euthanasia group, told Swiss Info the machines can be towed anywhere for death. And one of the most positive features of the capsule is that they can be transported to an idyllic outdoor setting. Currently, assisted suicide in Switzerland means swallowing a capsule filled with a cocktail of controlled substances that put the person into a deep coma before they die. But sarcopods, short for sarcophagus, allow a person to control their death inside the pod by quickly reducing internal oxygen levels. The person intending to end their life is required to answer a set of pre-recorded questions, then press a button that floods the interior with nitrogen. The oxygen level inside is quickly reduced from 21% to 1%. After death, the pod can be used as a coffin. Okay, so here's the thing. He says they want to remove any kind of psychiatric review from the process and allow the individual to control the method themselves. Their aim is to develop an artificial intelligence screening system to establish the person's mental capacity. That's one red flag for me. Naturally, there's some skepticism, especially about the part of psychiatrics, or especially on the part of psychiatrists, excuse me. The benefit for the person who uses it is that they don't have to get any permission. They don't need some special doctor to try and get a needle in, and they don't need to get difficult drugs. Well, that's kind of done for a reason. So, I mean, I think that, anyway. Now, in 2018, there was a personal essay on Huffington Post that Nietzsche said his focus in the realm of assisted suicide has shifted over the years from supporting the idea of a dignified death for the terminally ill, the medical model, to supporting the concept of a good death for any rational adult who has life experience, the human rights model. Once again, I'm a little conflicted because I feel like we all make choices every single day in our lives. And if I got up and made a choice to say I was going to end my life, I could end my life. I don't need any additional help or assistance with that. So if I something I wanted to do, I could do. I'm just a little, I think I'm a little weirded out with the idea of this pod that you can just get in and just press a button and your life is over. I mean, if that's your choice, that's your choice. I get it, but I don't know. I feel a little weird about that. I'm not sure. How do you all feel? I mean, how do you feel about this?
I don't necessarily have I have two issues.
And I'm a fan of you living your life however you want to live your life. So let me say that.
I have two issues. One, the removal of a qualified medical evaluation from the process, because if we make it too easy for people, I mean, we've all had a moment where, like, girl, if I could end it, I would. Maybe some of us haven't, and some of us have even been in that moment for a few seconds, like a minute. And if you had access to the funds and this technology, then, you aren't, give it, you need someone to talk to be like, hey, is this really the right path? Or are you a fatalist? Are you, because there's some people that's always like, they get a hangnail, girl, the world is ending. You know what I'm saying? They always choose, or take it to the furthest extreme. So removing the psychiatric examination from it. And then, child, let's just be clear. It says the person intending to end their life is required to answer a question, blah, blah, blah. Then press a button that floods the interior with nitrogen. The oxygen levels inside is quickly reduced from 21% to 1%. In other words, you suffocate to death.
Well, you pass out. You pass out. You lose consciousness.
Yes, but meanwhile you're gasping for air.
But you don't even realize it because you're unconscious. It's kind of like being in a coma and you're dying. Because you don't have any. You don't have. It's like throwing up in your sleep.
I would have to see it or get some more, because to me it sounds like you're in this pod. You press this button and you
pass out. No, you pass out.
Because that feels too much like drowning to me, and drowning for me personally is like my fear.
I get that.
Drowning and fire.
I get that.
Are my two things. So that's why I'm like, I'd much rather just take the pill, because the pill, you take the pill. Listen, you take the pill, you be like take the pill.
Swirl this thing and run this little martini. Like,
this is good as shit.
Yeah.
And it knocks you the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then you just drift off. I mean, that to me,
but yes,
that's like romantic. That's like, bitch, pour yourself the best cocktail you've ever had. Take that shit somewhere and be like, oh my God, this is a great cocktail. This is the perfect way to end it.
And then be out.
Yeah. Girl, fuck you, Atlas. I am not on the pill. But for me, that other way just sounds too much like suffocation, which, that feels.
Court documents, they did not talk about the costs, but I'm sure that's something that you could.
You know who this is for?
These are.
And I'm sure it's not cheap. I'm sure anytime they talk about towing it to some idyllic location or whatever.
But these are 3D printed pods. So it
ain't cheap.
I don't see cheap at all in this, because if you're printing out these pods and you're printing out each piece, or each piece, and you have to put it together and assemble and all type of stuff, I don't see this being cheap. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. So I don't know. I have issues with making it so easy to check up out of here. Hey, Michelle. And I also have issues with checking out of here without. You don't need anyone's. To be quite honest, you're control. Listen, and for all of my griefs, you know what I'm going to say. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever guys would be for my unconquerable soul. In the failed clutch of circumstance, I have no words to cry aloud. Under bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond the place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade. Yet the minutes of the years finds itself find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, I'll charge your punishment to scroll. I'm the master of my fate, I'm the captain of my soul. So, that piece right there.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
That piece right there, we already know it.
Mm-hmm.
But you need someone
with a level head.
Someone needs to monitor that. And that's Invictus by William Ernest Henley. So yes. I sincerely believe that all of that poem, but I also believe that we are communal creatures and we need help.
Yes.
We need interaction. We need people. We need communication. We need love. We need that connection. That's a part of the human spirit. And so if you're taking some of that out of it, it seems like it actually is making it, not only is it making it easier, it's making it more attractive in a certain way. It's like, oh, well, I'll just go ahead and kill myself. Yeah, this is special. I'll go kill myself. My pod is going to be amazing. I'm gonna get trimmed up on the outside. I'm gonna be laid out. I'll be sitting on this mountain and it's like, yeah, I'm out. No, because that's kind of selfish to me. You have too many people that are around you that are caring for you. But
yeah, I mean, ultimately, like you say, it's your decision. But I think the idea that we should randomly just allow people to just be offing themselves without any sort of qualified medical psychiatric review.
Medical.
Even when people talk about, when someone is dying, if they're not already in a coma, to like cut off the feeding tube, it's like basically you're starving them to death. And I'm just like, that doesn't feel like a good way to go.
I mean, I feel like even when this is going to probably I feel like for some people, the thought of seeing a qualified medical practitioner, whether it's a psychiatrist or a psychologist, to have a conversation, for some people, when it even comes to plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why some surgeries require that.
Yeah.
Because they're definitely life-changing.
Yes.
So I don't know. I this article kind of sat with me and it made me think about a few things. But I still at the end don't think that I'm a fan of this. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So
we'll let that sit with you. We'll get into this outro and then we'll come back on the other side.
Yeah. Type us your thoughts if you have any. And we'll be back.
Hey, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Atlas. Atlas said this is a bit triggering, more so on my part. I stopped talking to a therapist a long time ago. I want to encourage you and others to continue with therapy, and here's why. Therapy, by its very nature, brings up things and issues that are uncomfortable to talk about. And I've heard a lot of people, I've heard this before. I've dated someone who was like, I don't need to go to a therapist because I know more than a therapist. No, you don't. You know more about your life. Let's be clear. You are the person who is an expert on your life. But the therapist's job is to help you gain clarity. And clarity rarely comes without addressing painful parts of your life. It's not going to be like, oh, okay, everything's cool. It's going to be painful. You're going to dredge up memories. It may bring up parts of your character or things that happened to you in your past that you'd rather not think about, or it may uncover patterns that you may not previously be aware of. So I would encourage you to do the work. Spesh says everyone can benefit from seeing a therapist if they're willing to do the work and be introspective.
Yep.
That's what it is. And being introspective is sometimes painful, because what it does is introspection, especially guided introspection. Because, we all say we're introspective, but we all have this fantasy and this fiction about who we are in our lives and in this world. And that guided introspection with a professional sometimes reveals that the person that we think we are is bullshit on some level. Yeah. And only from that place can true healing go. You may think that, oh, I'm the victim, life has just got it in for me. And, once you get into it, you're like, well, maybe some bad things have happened to you, but also how have you contributed by a pattern of behavior? And a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to hear that. They don't want the fiction. They don't want the rug pulled out of them. They'd rather live with the comfortable fiction of who they are in their mind, even if that's revealed to not be the truth. So I will encourage you, and we'll have a conversation about this, because Atlas and I have another relationship. So I would encourage you to stick with your therapy. And there's another thing, with suicide, people will feel like that's a way not to deal with all of those things that you don't want to deal with. And again, I personally am not a person that's saying, if this feels like you can't manage it, who am I to keep you here against your will? But often, if you're willing to do some work, you'll find out that things aren't as bad as it seems. But I still want the option, because like for people, like, someone like Chadwick Boseman, or someone with terminal brain cancer, or some sort of something, and they don't want to go through what they know is going to be a painful end of life experience.
That part, Spesh. So Morgan said, or what happened to me wasn't that bad. Meanwhile, it's come out sideways and impacted all of your relationships.
Yeah,
every single one of them. That is a glaring red flag that you need to be talking to someone on a regular basis and dealing with that one or several issues that have changed your life, because something has been life-changing.
Think about, we just talked about the Duggars, right? And how Josh touched one of his sisters.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, I'm cool. We cool. Everything is, copacetic. Nothing's wrong. I've dealt with that. We went through this Christian counseling. We prayed it away. Meanwhile, she's an adult, and she can't trust no men in her life. None. She no longer has a good relationship with any of her other thousands of brothers and sisters, or her father, or the pastor of their church. She can't find a boyfriend that she can, because she always thinks that something crazy is going to happen to them, or she can't. We're not even talking about sexual relationships. She can't even form like friendship attachments with people. Meanwhile, she thinks she's totally fine. But a therapy helps reveal that no, that thing that happened to you with your trusted family member, and then to have your family sort of force you to continue to interact with that, has forced you to develop all of these sort of off-putting mechanisms for dealing with people. And if you don't go to therapy, you don't get to see those pieces of yourself. And so meanwhile, you're thinking that all men are dogs, or all men are bad, or whatever. And it's like, no, well, maybe some of these men did do bad things to you, or the relationship didn't work out. But again, most human relationships don't work out.
That is correct.
But that doesn't mean everyone is awful. But what part did you play? What part did your trauma play in that? So it's when it impacts your relationship. So that's the importance of therapy, is understanding how you got to be the person that you are now.
Right.
Why is it that you feel that things aren't right in your world? And what are you willing to do to make that better?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a lot, and
Definitely.
it's some big steps, and I mean, hell, we've talked about this, and I'll share my own stuff. There's some subject matters that I probably should go and talk to someone, and I know this
Same.
even from my own studies as far as like in the counseling field. I know it objectively. Subjectively, I know it probably has attached in some way, shape, or form to things in my life. Haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's probably because I need the help of someone from the outside to figure out what that actually is or what the connections are. And eventually I will get there. I will get to that. But I already know that that's an issue, and I already know that that's something that I'm going to want to talk about later on. And when I make the time, when I feel like I absolutely have to make the time for it, then I will address it.
Right.
But everyone is different when it comes to that. I'm not saying I'm more self-conscious or more emotionally intelligent or whatever. I just know I know that I'm not in jeopardy at this moment.
Right.
And when I feel that way, then that's when I know I'm going to have to talk to someone. So,
yes. So that was that was some deep subject matter, but I think it's important that we have this conversation
all the time. And you are welcome to listen. You are welcome to bring this stuff onto the show. We can talk about it. While neither one of us are licensed anything as far as medical psychiatrists or psychologists, but we have some years of experience and know some people that have gone through some things, and even ourselves have gone through something. We can chat about stuff, but listen, I mean, this is a safe space. You can talk about that stuff at any time you want to.
Amen.
So that's kind of where I am. But as always, this is my therapy session for me as well. Like I just kind of come in and just talk about stuff. So this is therapy for me. So it's very cathartic.
Hallelujah. Sorry, I gotta find in to work stuff. I'm trying to do lots of different things.
Hey, trying to make the monies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as always, we really, 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 really appreciate you guys spending your time with us, because you can be anywhere else, but we definitely appreciate you guys being here with us.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it for me. Next week next week is the day before Christmas Eve. Yeah, day before Christmas Eve. So
the day before Christmas Eve. It's the 22nd.
Yeah, the day before Christmas Eve. So yes. So
that'll be our Christmas show.
That'll be our Christmas show. Yeah, we're at our Christmas shindig. So if you all can, maybe we'll open up the camera to have people come in. We can invite some people in, because they can
9 at most.
Well, and that's
we're gonna invite the super fans, super friends.
We can invite
the super friends, the super fans to be on camera with us.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do that. Maybe that's one thing we'll do.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll probably have some more. We'll have a Christmas cocktail, because it seems like that's where we're going.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
I'm not going to finish that because I'm going to go out and do some driving.
Oh, I don't know, but I'm about to go to bed, so that's going to be lovely.
So, but that's it for me.
All right. And with that, we will say thank you all for coming out. God bless you, and good night.
Use your left hand to close everything out.